Hello and welcome to another episode of the Digital Well Publisher podcast. I'm your host, Halana Black, and today I get the distinct privilege of bringing you yet another interview in our Inspirational Spotlight series. Today's guest, her name is Katrena Friel from Sydney, Australia, and what she does is she does a variety of things within her business. She is a writer, she is a coach, she is a speaker, she's a consultant, she's a trainer, and she works with a variety of audiences. She's a very creative person, very creative entrepreneur. And the reason why I wanted to put her in the inspirational spotlight series is because she has created a series of books using the name refresh your thinking, and she uses the term refresh as a part of her brand, and she actually goes into what that whole refresh branding is all about, so I don't want to give it all away at once. But what was really wonderful to be able to learn from Katrina is that many of us are very creative people. We're creative beings, and we want to be able to work in more than one area. And Katrina, throughout her entire ride through entrepreneurship, has found ways to be able to work with various groups of people. And she's passionate about working with all of them. And she continues to find ways to be able to work with various groups in ways that works for her and her business. And so I really wanted to show her as a strong example of how it is that you could use a book or a series of books to be able to offer who it is and what it is that you offer to a variety of people, and not really feel like you're being mitigated to only working with a small niche, a small group of people, when really you feel like you want to be able to offer your services and what it is that you have to offer to several different groups of people. Now, Katrina, she's been doing this entrepreneurial work for a while. So if you're a newbie, I may not, I wouldn't exactly suggest that everybody, you just go out and work with everybody at once. She has made concentrated efforts over the course of her career to be able to work with various people on an in-depth basis, and now she's at a point where she knows where her strengths are and she knows what it is that she can offer to these various groups of people. So take a listen to this interview, see what it is that you can glean from Katrina's lessons and learning about her book and her series of books, and really just take some time to take some really great notes, because she offers some really great information about how to be able to use your book to be able to grow your own business. So without further ado, I give you my interview with Katrena Friel, our Inspirational Spotlight series.
Want to know the secret to booking more speaking gigs, writing a bestseller, and filling your coaching or consulting practice with clients you love? Join bestselling author, writer, editor, and speaker Halana Black as she connects you with publishing and media experts who are ready to help you build the business of your dreams. You can find helpful show notes, publishing and book marketing resources, books, tutorials, and more at digitalwellpublisher.com.
Hello and welcome to the Digital Well Publisher podcast. I am your host, Halana Black, and this is the podcast where we interview entrepreneurs and business experts to find out all the tools and strategies that they're using to grow their expert business. And today I'm with a wonderful guest all the way from Sydney, Australia. Her name is Katrena Friel. Katrina, are you there?
I am. Good morning from Sydney, Australia.
Good morning. Now, did I pronounce your name properly?
Katrena Friel. I think you pretty much got it.
Okay, Katrena Friel. Thank you so much. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do in your business?
Well, I have a business name called Refresh Your Thinking. So I created this brand with a beautiful green, dewy grass, and I just love that metaphor for refreshing people's thinking. So naturally, out of that, I wanted to create a Refresh Your Thinking book series. And the first book in the series is Refresh Your Career. So I go and work in high-end corporate. A lot of people are in their work, they're not that engaged, and my job is to go in and refresh their thinking. And I have, within the Refresh Your Career book, I have 7 key strategies to keep yourself refreshed and to make yourself a success in your role. Or it still applies to business, but still I think I like to use that particular book as my entree into businesses. And then the second book in the series was called Refresh Your Life. And that came out of a lot of corporates, once they see me speak and they see the book, they wanted to sort of take that idea of refreshing their thinking into their life as well. So I created a book which I think really is my goal-setting book. And so that is strategies for refreshing your life and getting success on all fronts, not just your career. And then the next book in the series was Refresh Your Business. And this is where I work a lot with small business owners, micro business, sole traders. I love that market. I really, really do, because I can have a big impact there and refresh their thinking about the book is about discovering the 10 secrets to refreshing business success. And I uncover there the 10 things that are what make people struggle in business. And then once I reveal that, they can work out their strengths and their challenges. And then they can start working on with me as a business coach to then start to overcome some of those challenges.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with it at the moment.
Okay, cool. And I love that the branding that you've used, the idea of refreshing your thinking. Can you talk a little bit about how it is that you came up with that?
Look, I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur, and I've had many, many, many brands and many, many different businesses that do different things. But what I wanted when I wanted to rebrand, I really wanted an umbrella concept, something that will take me right through all my different programs, all my different book ideas, and Refresh Your Thinking really nailed that. And so what I would recommend to the people listening is to think long term, what brand is going to be with you for a long time, and what brand is a great umbrella brand to house successfully all your business ideas, and refresh your career, refresh your life, refresh your business, refresh your teams, refresh your leadership. You can see how that brand is going to hold me in good stead for the next decade. And I can just keep adding to that series whenever I feel I want to launch one of my training programs. So I come out of the world of training. So all my programs are already there. I already train them. They might be 2-day programs. They might be 1-day programs. They might be a 1-hour keynote. It doesn't really matter, because a book allows you to take what you do from a keynote point of view or a training point of view and allows you to have the work already done for you, because you're already out there with your ideas. And it's just a discipline really to come and bring it into a book format so that people can enjoy it around the world, even if they never meet you.
Great. And I love that the umbrella concept that really requires that you know who you are and what your business is about.
You bet. I went round and I asked all my super fans, people that have maybe known me for 10 years, 20 years, and I just went round and I asked people, what's one word that, you think, says who I am, based on what they know of me. And there was one word early on in the piece. We were going to go with electrify your thinking. And we'd pretty much gone down the track of developing that brand a little. And just when I got to the book design made me go back to the drawing board because I couldn't make electrify work from a visual point of view. Mm-hmm. So that was really interesting, and I was really wedded to the idea of being electrifying. Mm-hmm. But what happened is I went back to the drawing board, and Refresh came out as part of the survey, and the rest is history, as they say. I'm very, very happy, and I'm so glad I didn't go with that original idea because I had hung on to that green grass, that dewy green grass brand. I had been using it in my workbooks for 15 years. Mm-hmm. So it was always with me. I just didn't know that it was going to become the, front and center image that was going to develop my brand to the next level. So look around you. You'll probably find it's staring you in the face somewhere, something that you really love, something that you're really attracted to. Mm-hmm. That's likely to be the place where you could start. And also ask people, what's one word that signifies who I am, and you'll get that. And when you hear it, it should send goosebumps down your body. Mm-hmm, that's right. How I always know when the decision is right. Is I get goosey, just like J-Lo. Now, it's like hearing a song when you love a song and you get all goosey.
Oh,
it's exactly
absolutely.
the same when you nail your brand. And that brand is going to be in every book, so you've got to love it.
Absolutely. Now, did you work with like a brand strategist, or this is completely you just keeping in contact with who your fans were and just staying in touch with that?
Look, I have a philosophy around being very independent, and I find that in my office, by myself, mucking around with graphic design, mucking around with placements and fonts and things like that is really important part of the process. Mm-hmm. You really get to know your brand. You get to fiddle with your brand, and it's just an important part of the process. What I think happens is people with a little bit of money tend to say, "Oh, look, get an expert. They're much better." And yes, they are. But they're an expert unto themselves, but what I find is if you haven't played with it a little bit yourself, what I recommend is a program called Canva, Canva.com. I love that little program. It's a very simple graphic design program. It's no Photoshop by any means, but what it does give you is ability to have a little play around with things. So by the time you do go to a graphic artist and spend money with people, you have a better brief and a better understanding on how things sit with your image or what kind of fonts you like or don't like. You should play with it yourself, though, even if you think you're not that creative. Go and have a look at what the fashion is right now. Look on Google that word. Go and have a look on Pinterest and have a look at some of the images that you really love. So when I do this work for others, so my clients, I might do their graphic design work for them. What I do is I get them to go and pick a website that they really love, pick a couple of pictures that they really love, show me something they really hate. Right. What kind of fonts don't they like? Some people like really dark and moody stuff, and I'm really one for bold and fresh and crisp. So I love white backgrounds. Right. And I get all my clients to look as fresh and crisp as possible. But go to the professionals if you can afford to. But a lot of authors are starving artists, and they may not have thousands of dollars to spend on that sort of stuff. So the best thing to do is do it yourself and do the best job you possibly can.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you're just starting with a business in particular, and you've got limited funds to be able to invest, you definitely don't want to spend it, those thousands of dollars on, working with an outside brand strategist. I always tell people to really connect with why it is that you started your business in the first place, and just kind of let that lead you to your clients and the projects that you want to be able to work with. And, of course, with time, if you choose to, as your business grows, you can certainly invest money into those other professionals, when the time is right. But, don't feel like you need to have that, particularly in the beginning.
Absolutely. There's so many templates out there now. I mean, look at WordPress and Wix. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I often start with a Wix website when I'm developing a concept and
Mm-hmm.
just play with Wix. And you end up, you know, knowing what you want to look and feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Just by playing in there and using it as a graphic design tool, because a lot of the layout is already there for you, so you don't have to be perfect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what looks good, and you know what you want to look like, and you want to look fashionable. You don't want to look like you've come out of the 1980s. And I was there in the 1980s, and I know what those websites look like. Horrendous. We look so much more glamorous now. I mean, gosh, we've come a long, long way in technology. And I always recommend my clients become more techno-savvy.
Mm-hmm.
And authors often aren't. Authors are very much focused on writing, and that's all great. But as a business person, and that's what this is,
Mm-hmm.
a business person needs to be well-rounded, and you need to be across technology, and you've got to learn to love it, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got to get amongst it.
Absolutely. Just go in and get involved.
Get
Now,
involved. Yeah.
now
I love that.
how have you used the books in particular to improve your visibility with corporations? Like
Right.
how do you go about that?
So I'd love you just, your listeners, just to visualize a triangle for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have many layers in that triangle. But the top of the triangle, the peak of the triangle, is the book. So the book is the beginning of everything. Then the second layer for me is the keynote speaking. So with the book, you'll get lots of keynote speaking opportunities. And I don't care if you get paid or you don't get paid, just speak with your book. Because when you're on the stage, just the act of being on the stage separates you from everybody else and indicates that you are the expert up there. Add the book to that, and that's another tick in that box where you now look like the expert. Then you become #1 bestseller. That's another tick in the box to say that you're an expert. And so once you've got your book and you get out there and speak about it, to me, that's the beginning of the entire process, your entire sales process, your entire marketing process. Because if nobody connects with you as a person, then nobody is going to connect with your book.
Mm-hmm.
Your book will stay a well-kept secret, sitting in Kindle all by itself, sitting in Amazon all by itself, and it's not doing anything. It's not alive. The keynote and connecting heart to heart with people on stage and talking about your story, talking about what you teach, giving them some tips and tricks, and or just telling them the story, you know, like reading from the book itself. If it's a non-fiction. I'm more into fiction, obviously. I'm more business book focused for myself and my clients. But to me, the book is essential to that keynote speaking and starting the beginning of the triangle. And then from the book and the keynoting, the next level down is you want to get into some sort of training package. And then after the training, you want to get into some sort of coaching package and mentoring and stuff like that, and even some consulting right down the bottom. But it all starts with the top of that triangle for me. And that's what I teach my students. My students come to Becoming the Expert program, and I teach them how to do all that and how that business plan works. How that model works.
Okay, so for people who are absolute beginners, okay, they say they
absolute beginners.
Yeah, they've
got it.
They've gotten the book, and and they would like to be able to at least who do they call at certain organizations, whether they're corporations, big or small. What's the first thing that you do to be able to use your book as an entryway into speaking?
Well, look, I have to talk reasonably generically here, and just give some ideas from my perspective, and then your listeners could sort of make of that what they will. But I like to start off with appropriate networking opportunities. But I say to my clients, never, ever, ever just go and be a normal networking person, part of the gang. You must speak. So you would ring up. You might have to go to the networking group first,
Mm-hmm.
but your objective is to speak at some point. Not just round the table for 30-second elevator pitch. I'm talking get up in front of the entire group for that session. It could be 20 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever they give you. But that's essential. Whereas a lot of authors, what they'll do is they'll join network groups and just keep on going as a normal person.
Right.
That won't work. You have to stand out. You have to be different from everybody else. And you have to do a lot of different networking groups. But if you find that, number one, they're not going to let you speak, number two, they're not your market, then, don't waste any unnecessary time. Just exit. And I spend a lot of time in the year going and finding incredible groups of women who are in small business that maybe don't have their book yet. And I go round and inspire that thinking wherever I possibly can. Because it's key to their business success is having this book to start the process.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my first tip, is networking with the objective of speaking at some point. The sooner the better. Mm-hmm. The second thing I recommend is going to expos and festivals. Now, again, I do not recommend people just getting an exhibition stand. You are one of thousands or hundreds or whatever. Only exhibit if you can speak.
Okay.
So you must have a workshop somewhere in the festival, somewhere in the expo where you are going to speak. And some do it better than others. Sometimes you're in a crowded, noisy room with everyone talking, and other times you're in this beautiful little workshop space where people have left the expo to come and see you speak, and that's ideal. So that's my second tip, is expos, but with speaking opportunity only. Never just exhibit. Mm-hmm. And I come from the exhibition world, so I was there 4 years doing big industry expos. So I know that world very, very well, putting on big events. The second thing I'd recommend is creating your own events.
Okay.
So it can be a little bit more expensive. Plus, if you don't have a community, then nobody comes. Mm-hmm. So that's why I would send you back to look for places that already have a community. So maybe leave this particular recommendation for later on when you actually have a tribe, actually have a community that will listen and come along to learn what you've got to teach and for you to sell your books. So that's the third tip. The fourth tip would be to, I have a sales process for approaching corporates. Mm-hmm. And if you are networking with corporates, then go back to recommendation number one, and that is network to meet people. So that you can then have a meeting with them. I call that a concept meeting, where you sit down, have a cup of coffee, give them a copy of your book, and tell them of your objective to speak in their organisation one way or the other. Mm-hmm. Here in Australia, we charge $4,500 for a one-day training. And that's the objective, is to not only get the keynote speech where I might talk to a group of corporates, but then you want to get in and sell your training program. Mm-hmm. So I do that on a number of levels. You meet them at a networking event, or you know them, or they see you on LinkedIn. You have a concept meeting, give them a book, tell them what you want to do, and then stay following up until you nail a date. And there's a bit of a process to that. Yeah. So if anyone wants to see my process, then they can get in touch. That's fine.
Okay.
What else? I could probably keep going, but they are pretty much the four main things to focus on. Just keep speaking. Just keep speaking with your book.
Yeah, and that really speaks to the fact that there are a number of things that we as authors have to do in order to make sure that we continue to grow our audience, and one of them is to have a community. I know several people who have said that creating your own events have really been probably one of the most successful strategies that they've used to be able to not just sell their book, but really just to be able to grow all of the other projects that they create, as far as their consulting and training and getting involved in other speaking engagements are concerned. So do you have like your own, like, is there like a space online where you have a digital community, or Do you have something like that, or do you create your community in other ways?
I think social media is really important. It is important, but I don't hang my hat on it. I just see it as a bonus extra. I call it a really fancy address book, because in the 80s we didn't have social media. We had actual address books, and I know some of the young people will be going, "What's an address book?" But we actually had a little book with people's names and numbers in them. Hilarious, I know. Anyway, now when people want to find me, they can easily. So they see me speak, they want to connect with me. The first thing they're going to do to connect with me is just like whenever you go to a rock concert, you always buy a t-shirt, a program, you take something away. It's the exact same with an author. An author, your book is your t-shirt. Just like Madonna sells t-shirts, you sell books. It's the exact same thing. If people are taking it, not really to read it necessarily, they're taking it because they want a piece of you. They want to remember you. They want to remember that experience that they just had with you on stage. So books to me are a very expensive business card, and I do not see it as a money-making venture. I see it as certainly cost neutral, because in the selling of your books, you're able to put that money aside and grab another 100 or two for your next season or your next session. But yeah, books, I think some people get into the market thinking that they're going to become a millionaire writing books and selling books. And I tell you what, if you look at the statistics, they are way off. So what I do is I use it to get my bigger money. And your bigger money comes in being paid for keynoting. The biggest money is in training. And, there's plenty of money in coaching. But to me, I have a whole strategy around coaches, a lot of starving coaches out there as well. And that's because they do what authors do. And that is they just sit with their shingle up saying, "I'm a coach, come on down." And they're not out there connecting with anyone, which means they won't get any coaching business. Same with the author. They sit there going, "Great, I've written my book now. Now let the money come flooding in," but no one's connecting with them. So to me, you can't just sit there hoping for the best and hoping that social media is going to have them come running. It doesn't really work like that. They have to connect with you, unfortunately, live.
Right.
And webinars are close to doing that and connecting you with the world. But nothing beats meeting you in person. Nothing beats that energy exchange, that connection that happens in real time. And I think that the market is actually realizing that now. And I think you're going to see a lot of people you may have already noticed that people are starting to pick up the phone again, and people are starting to connect with each other, because social media isn't really creating real connection. It's creating a quasi one. And I just see it as an address book. I know where to find them when I need them, or they know where to find me when I need them. So LinkedIn, really build on that. Build your fancy address book. Connect with people as much as you like. And use LinkedIn, but only if you're a business person. If you are not a business person and it's more of a social thing, then obviously Facebook's for you. I have both, because I've got business to consumer market and I've got the business to business market. So that's why I have both going. But for business to consumer market, just stick with Facebook. You don't have to do much else. Create a page and do all the basics on Facebook. Create a page, create a shop. Do links, do crazy and interesting standout stuff on your social media page. When Refresh Your Thinking posts, it doesn't get the same attention as when Katrina Friel posts. So that's really interesting in of itself. What I've done is made the transition over into having my profile be my business page. And then I share posts from Refresh Your Thinking over into my profile, so that my actual friends, the people on my profile page, can see it. But what Facebook's done now, of course, is stopped all that going to absolutely everyone. So you might have to start to boost your posts. And pay for a little bit of advertising, just to ensure that it actually goes to your community and not to only 10% of it. But hey, I'm no Facebook expert. There's plenty of stuff on the internet to explain all that.
Yeah, but one of the things that I think you said was really important was that, it's really important for people to remember that they have to connect with people offline. I myself, I'm an introverted business owner, and so I actually started my podcast because I was looking for other spaces for myself to be able to speak, but um, just the whole idea of jumping out onto a stage was just a bit much for me to as a place to start.
Yeah.
So doing one-on-one podcasts has really just it's been a really great learning venture for myself, and so now I'm just starting to get invitations to be able to do live trainings and other speaking engagements. So I think it's important for people to be able to start wherever they are, and to be able to grow from there.
Absolutely. In fact, you come up with a very interesting thing. You know how I said about refresh your business,
Mm-hmm.
the 10 secrets to success? The first secret is actually how much breadth of behavior do you have from introvert to extrovert. And when people see me on stage, I ask them to guess, am I an extrovert or an introvert? And because I'm so crazy on stage, I'm 15 years down the track, they all yell out, oh, you're an extrovert. And I go, yeah, it looks it, doesn't it? I was actually born an introvert. And then they go, okay, wow. And what I found with authors, if you have a look at the discipline of writing, it's a very introverted activity. And if extroverts cannot do introvert, then they won't ever write a book. But it's the same with introverts. If all they can do is write a book and can't get it out into the world and do extrovert, then they're not going to be successful either. Mm-hmm. So what I do as a trainer and as a business coach is I start to stretch people's comfort zones. You're doing it yourself organically, and it will take time to build. Whereas what I like to do is just change people's mindsets and stop labeling themselves an introvert and extrovert. What I like people to be able to do is have access to full breadth of behavior. And that's what I have become, is I'm able to sit at my desk and write for 2 days, as well as go out and present my work to the world. So I'm doing extrovert and introvert, but at different times. And if people can't do both, then they won't be successful either way.
Right. Exactly.
So introverts, authors, gotta stretch your comfort zone. Do whatever you have to do, but get on that stage one day, because it takes your business and your revenue 10-fold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold more than what you do online.
Wonderful. Well,
because online, everything's free.
It
you
is.
know what I mean? So how is anyone making much money off everything being free? Online stuff is great. It's supplementary to other marketing. My main marketing activity is being on stage with my book.
Wow. Yes. So that's your main marketing act, because a lot of people.
That's my main thing.
They spend so much time, just creating Facebook posts and, making
That's
pretty pictures of themselves with quotes.
They're shy, they're introverted, and they're not stretching themselves. And I tell you what, they'll starve. I guarantee it, they'll starve. They'll starve. And that's no good. I mean, I don't want them to be the number one world's best kept secret. It's ridiculous.
Right. Right.
So I hope everyone's listening to that.
Right. And I always tell people, if you had this great idea to be able to write this book and build your business around this, your book, then, definitely you deserve to have an audience to be able to hear what it is that you have to say. But
it takes personal and professional development. There's a whole bunch of confidence issues around that. There's a whole bunch of mindset shifts that need to occur, because introverts think that speaking is like worse than death. They'd rather die, which is ridiculous. So that's why you often will need some coaching, some counseling, some sort of therapeutic intervention to start that ball rolling, so that they can stretch their comfort zone up and up and up and up until speaking in front of 1,000 people is no big deal.
Yeah,
The
that's
introverts always say to me, "Oh, I have no trouble talking to one-on-one," and I'm like, "Okay, well, that's not going to help you." So, to me, one-on-one, I am presenting,
mm-hmm.
even if there's 50 people in the room. I'm still presenting my ideas and concepts,
Mm-hmm.
and so it doesn't matter to an introvert. They shouldn't see the difference between one-on-one and one-on-20.
Mm-hmm.
1 on 50, 1 on 100. All that is just experience. Have you gone out and tried 1 to 20, 1 to 50? Just keep going until suddenly you go, oh, 50 people is now fine. 100
Mm-hmm.
people is now fine. Next challenge is 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. You know,
Yeah.
Oprah started in front of a camera, what she considered to be probably one-on-one,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
you know,
It's always
and
good to
she's
remember
just,
that they started from somewhere.
everyone started one-on-one, yeah, one
Mm-hmm.
on two, and group of five, and you know, you just grow and grow and grow. What introverts don't do is they don't stretch themselves enough, and they need to really push themselves just that little bit more. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they mustn't be lazy. You know,
Absolutely. All right. Well, Katrina, I can't believe that the 30 minutes for today's interview has already gone past. Uh,
what a shame. I could
yeah,
talk all day with you.
I
You're
know.
lovely.
You've given so many great tips. Thank you so much. Is there anything that you wanted to share? Certainly share where people can find you online.
Yeah, they could go to start with my website is
Mm-hmm.
katrena.com.au, which is katrena.com.au. And then there's the Facebook page, Refresh Your Thinking, or feel free to link up with me at Katrina Friel at Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those sort of places. Pretty easy to find just from the website, really. And just stay in touch. And if there's any support you need or any questions that you have, just send them through, and I'm happy to supply lots of different stuff. I've got heaps of free things I could give them. They could have my Refresh Your Business quiz. They could probably do the quiz and find out what's holding them back. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably a really great first step.
Okay, so
And
they
they
can
can do
request
that for free.
the
Yeah.
Refresh Your Biz quiz.
Yeah, Refresh Your Biz quiz and discover the 10 secrets to success.
Wonderful. Katrina, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Well, thanks for hanging out on another episode of the Digital Well Publisher podcast again. If you want to be able to find all the show notes and information that Katrina referred to during her interview, you can head over to digitalwellpublisher.com and look up Katrina Friel. That's Katrena. Friel is Friel. I'd also love for you to join us in our 7-day best-selling author platform challenge. You can join that challenge by going over to bit.ly, that's bit.ly/7, the number 7, day author challenge. So again, that's bit.ly, bit.ly/, the number 7, day author challenge. And you just put in your name and your email address, and for a whole 7 days, you'll get all the information that I have about how to be able to build a winning author platform. And the reason why I put this challenge together was because I get so many emails from people who are entrepreneurs who are interested in learning how to be able to sell their book. However, they really haven't thought about some of the basics that need to be built before they've actually gone ahead and written their book. Now, one of the really great things about this platform challenge is whether or not you have a book already here, whether it's already published or your book is still in idea mode, or even if you're in the process of writing it, the 7-day author challenge will still work for you. So go ahead, again, that's bit.ly/the number 7-day author challenge, and put in your name and email address, and you will be connected to that. And in addition to getting that challenge, you'll also receive information on new podcast episodes, as well as all the other resources and courses and other appearances that I'll be making throughout the year. So I'm so excited to have you join us at digitalwellpublisher.com. Again, my name's Helana Black, and I will see you next time.